how it is. Give him a- Careful. So, this is what you've been up to then. No wonder there's no food here. Well, what am I supposed to make then? I don't know, make some big monster. Like Godzilla. Godzilla, huh? Okay, so I had a great idea for a video. What if I make a giant monster like Godzilla? I've never done anything like that before, and I thought it would allow me to find out if there were any weird quirks to the process or special things to keep in mind, and then I could pass them to you along the way. And trust me, there's some interesting stuff here, so you're gonna want to stick around. Unfortunately, starting out I was having some trouble visualizing the character. It's okay though, happens to everyone, just, you know, don't get stressed. And when that does happen, I find it's best to just start sketching out your ideas. And you don't need to spend too much time on this part. As you can see here, I just really quickly whipped something up to kind of solidify it in my brain. And then when I was satisfied with that, I started the block out in Blender. And you might be thinking, no need for me to go into detail explaining this part, right? It's just a regular block out.
No way, we got you, not a chance.
No, you're wrong, as usual. Why I was assuming everyone's beneath you? Because it's true. No, you're just negative and an asshole for no reason. Fine then, you do it. Okay, I can do that. Anyway, yeah, a good rule of thumb in 3D is to always try and make sure you're making things at their accurate real-life scale they would be. Because naturally for something like this, where the scale of the character is one of the most important traits, it's that's even more true. Because it helps get an accurate eye for the Yeah, not so easy, is it? No, you're right. It's not. Yeah, so why don't you go back and hide behind the camera where you belong? Okay. Anyway, it'll help you get a more accurate idea of the desired proportions, you know, because things can look different when they're scaled up so much. What makes a good design will be different, regular size compared to large size. But of course, all of this is subjective anyway. And on top of that, a lot of things like volumetrics and simulations in Blender take accurate size and scale into account. And of course, for accurate scale, you're going to need a kind of measuring stick. Ignore that, Mark. My go-to is the base human meta rig from Rigify. And then moving on. Hold on. What's that I hear? You know, it's almost like I can hear some of you thinking, oh, something that big can never exist because of the square cube law. Okay, yeah, sure, fair point. Here's my counter-argument. Next, I took the model to ZBrush, where first I added hands and then started refining the primary and secondary shapes. There's nothing really special to mention here, nothing out of the ordinary, so just, you know, go about it as you normally would. But just because I'm glossing over it in the video, it does not mean that I glossed over it when I was actually creating the character. Because this here is arguably one of the most important parts of character design. Ensuring you make an appealing and recognizable silhouette, so take your time and get it right. Remember the age-old saying, Bing dong sanqi, fei yi li jihan. Okay, now this next part is the one I've actually really been looking forward to. Because if you think about it, typically a large character like this will have lots of extremely close-up shots because normally we'll be shooting from a human scale perspective, for lack of a better term. And due to them constantly being so close to the camera, there's a much higher need for high-fidelity micro details, also known as drinking the baby potion at 3. No! Okay, if I'm being honest, they're not actually always necessary. It's very case dependent, of course. If it's a more stylized type of giant creature, then you won't need the big details so much. Or if you think they're never really gonna get that close to the camera, you don't need it. But it's more so, you know, just an excuse for me to go nuts on those tiny, teeny little details that I never really see any point to even work on. I even made custom VDMs and alphas so I can make custom brushes, so I could really just, you know, go crazy with the tiny little details. And okay, and like, it definitely takes a lot of time for relatively low impact, but it just feels so damn satisfying. What am I doing? This concept of tiny little details also applies during the texturing stage. Oh wait, no, right. First we have to retopologize, and UV unwrap, and then project the details and apply materials. But no one cares about that stuff. Like, come on, at this point, if you struggle with it, anyway, the textures. I find it's good to work in stages, you know, and regularly take steps back. You know, really try to look into the mind of the character. Or try and understand the things they would do so you could really nail those finer details. Get what I'm saying? And remember, those finer details are really important for a bigger guy like this. Some examples here of the scratches on his chest from crawling over rocks. And also those wounds are from like maybe a nasty Friday night, if you know what I mean. And dry blood on his lips and teeth, because look at this guy. Of course he's a carnivorous creature. You know, just try and have fun with it. Try and come up with ways to justify the details you add. And of course it's your character, so go nuts. Okay, listen. Come to me. Come on.
Come to me.
Come to me.
Come on.
I'm not a monster. Come close. I have a truth bomb. None of what I've said here is true. I made all of it up. Sorry. That's the end of the video. Peace.
Oh no. I say when we're done.
Okay, no. All that stuff is important, but I really wanted to cement the fact that it's not nearly as important as this next part. You know, it's funny, when people are trying to make appealing characters, they're always so focused on things like, oh, I need to make sure my color theory is great, I need to make sure I have the perfect shape design.
Let's get to the point!
Okay. What really comes down to it is the composition, the way you set up the scene, the way you present something to the audience. I've said this a million times now, and I will continue to say it, because it's the truth. Okay, let me break this down for you. Take a look at these two balls. Do you see any difference between the two? Well, okay, look at this. One of them is about the size of an eyeball, and the other one is about the size of one of my balls. My penis is average, but my balls are so large it looks small by comparison. But my point here is, when you want to sell the size of something, the focus shouldn't be on how big it looks by itself, but how it compares to the things in the scene around it. No? Of course, there are many ways to go about achieving this effect. And like, isn't it convenient? I have this character I've been working on for the past 7 minutes and 16 seconds that I can now use as an example. I've framed the shot from the perspective of a little house on the hill as a baseline, and because you can see the grass close up and you can see far away, it kind of gives you an intuitive idea of how far out the land goes into the distance. And that, plus some volumetrics and such, you can tell that the mountain's pretty far away, still covers a pretty good amount of the screen vertically, showing it's pretty tall, and you can see the creature clearly at least equals the size of the mountain. So you can take that, okay, or say I decided to make the image look more so like this. Pretty big difference in clarity, huh? And okay, this may or may not seem obvious to you, but it's just so important that I had to mention it anyway. And that's right, everyone. That's it. That's Schmurda She Wrote. The main points to take away from this are accurate scale, even when you're blocking out. Get those tiny details right. They're more important because you want good close-ups of your big monsters. And make sure you frame your shot with other objects for good size comparison. I think that's everything. Okay, god damn it. Fine. So I posted this video on TikTok of me doing that basic design sketch I showed at the beginning of the video, and I had this cute little idea like, oh, what if people comment below ideas they think that would improve the design? But in the end, all I got were comments saying to make him pregnant. Of course I would never do that because I have artistic integrity. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure that now that's everything. No.
What do you do now? There's a giant fucking dragon outside.
It's not a dra- Is it pregnant?
What? Why would you ask that? Kind of weird shit you make.
You told me to make it.
Whatever. I'll deal with this.
What do you do? God damn. I gotta go. Peace.